any of the tools, or we have the seeds have been planted for the tools that we would need. Yeah, so that is my presentation. I wanted to keep it short so that we can then open the floor up to a discussion. Yes. So did anyone have any questions about anything that I presented today, or any of the comments, or have any ideas?
Okay, you can ask a question, put it in the chat room, or you can directly ask the question, and you also can ask in Indonesian language. Bisa nanya pakai bahasa Indonesia ya, kalau mau. Well, Malcolm, I think we got a question from Tri. You can find it in the chat room.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, popular there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Thank you for the great presentation. Thank you too. As we know, population grows rapidly. They all need goods and services to produce goods and services. The producers need more power plants. Since sustainable power sources are limited, producers continue using carbon-based power. Then pollution increases and result in reducing population because of unhealthy environment. My question, should we reduce the population to balance the economic development in a sustainable way? That is a very good question. And it's, it really gets to the heart of the challenge. Should we reduce the human population to make the planet more sustainable? That seems like an easy answer, an easy answer that's provided, that can be provided, but it's not a solution. It's not a viable solution. Because first, everyone that's on this planet has a right to be on this planet and has a right to life. First. Second, there's a deeper issue and a deeper challenge here. It's that human beings learn from one another, and knowledge transmits through society. So, for example, the coal-fired power plant, when it was first developed over 100 years ago, it was a very ingenious idea because you can electrify large cities with the coal-fired power plant. As humans have continued to urbanize and will continue to urbanize throughout the 21st century, it's a quick way to electrification. The challenge is that too much of one thing has led to a problem in another area. And that's why we have global warming occurring, things of that nature. So the thing is, the way forward is really about finding new and more sustainable ways of producing that electricity, rather than seeking to reduce the human population, which is not really a viable solution. I do not believe. Okay, can someone read Erna's question?
And do you have any other questions? Any other questions? Okay, there's another question from Repa Cecilia, Malcolm, in the chat room.
Okay, so how to maintain greenwashing effect from big company with fake sustainability campaign. So what is the greenwashing effect?
Rafa, maybe you can explain what the meaning of the greenwashing effect.
All right, thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Malcolm. So we are in a green situations and deforestation about sustainability campaign, and we are on the effect of green washing. For example, we are a campaign in sustainability, but the big company did a deforestation. So it's really not a sustainability sector, but it's a deforestation. So thank you so much.
Okay, okay. I thank you for that question, and it's a real challenge. Deforestation, first, it's a major problem. It kills biodiversity. It makes areas more prone to landslides. Sometimes it makes areas more prone to fires. You can have beautiful regions, and the trees are chopped down, and the land is made really ugly. And I've seen that through some of my travels, especially through Southeast Asia. But I also will say that there's a financial component there, right? Someone, big business profits from the trees that are cut down. They have to get permission in some way to log the trees, to cut down the trees. There's issues like that in the United States, especially in the northwestern United States, states like Washington, Oregon, even Northern California, where you have ancient trees and ancient forest, then you have logging there. But one of the things that I would say is to look at the local level, because I think in the decentralized system, a lot of the permits that are issued at the local level. There are, for different construction types, there are different materials that can be used. And there are keeping yourself and others who care about the environment informed about issues that are going on through social networks, through the university, through the various communications. So people are made aware of environmental issues that happen and reporting on them, and even documenting things that have happened, keeps that information in the public sphere, and it keeps it from being hidden, which in essence, that's where power lies, when things are hidden. So the more that you can bring things out, the better it would be. There's no one size answer to deforestation and logging, but what it does, there's a need to understand the policy implications there, who is making the decision, and find ways of impacting that decision. And as students of public policy, public administration, you are empowered to at least research these issues, to understand how the laws work, how the policy works, and then find ways and strategies on how to impact that policy. Okay, so I see another question here. As we know, the USA is a multicultural country. My question: how do the government balance the economic development in a sustainable way based on local wisdom? That is that's a challenge. It's a challenge in the United States, but for every country, because on the one hand, you want economic development. Everyone wants economic development. And another part of that challenge is the way that cities developed, say 100 years ago, 50 years ago, may not be the way that cities need to or can develop in the future. I would say that because, say in the northeastern United States, the state of Pennsylvania, a lot of towns developed through coal, through taking coal out of the ground and then making power plants, and then bringing the fuel for power plants. However, as we move to more renewable sources of energy, there will be less and less jobs in that sector. So people maybe in that area, they may not like those policies. Bless you. Can everyone mute themselves if they're not speaking? So I would say that there needs to be an alignment between economic development and building a sustainable future for the city and for the community. For example, many cities are taking it upon themselves to build departments of sustainability, to go through every operation and to see how they can become more sustainable. And then, well, where do they start? Well, they start with themselves. The lighting, how can they lower their electricity costs? They change the light bulbs. They turn down lights when they can. Governments have a lot of vehicles. Are the vehicles, what kind of fuel do they use? Can they use electric vehicles? When it gets more complicated, when we talk about refuse removal, trash dumps, and things of that nature, can energy or electricity be generated from trash dumps? Yes, they can be. The planting of trees, all of these things. And there is some sort of economic incentive for governments, but also for companies as well to become more sustainable, because you can save on your utility bills, your light bills, things of that nature, but also it prepares you to be more competitive into the future.
Okay, thank you, Mo. Yeah. Okay, Rafa, I hope it is clear enough. Malcolm, I think Rafa is happy with your answer, and we might probably move to another question from Rene. She's a political science student, and she's doing doctorate degree on women leadership in politics. And you can see the question in the chat room as well.
Okay, let me.
It is from Rene. This is about multiculturalism.
Yes. Well, the thing is, there are two things. The United States is a multicultural country. But if you know the history of the United States, race has a strong impact upon class, economic status, and power within the political system. There are many communities in the United States, African American communities, Hispanic, Latino communities. Hispanic or Latino would mean people who speak Spanish, either that come from South America or Central America or the Caribbean, or Native American communities, especially in the Midwestern United States or the Western United States. They face a disproportionate impact of having what they call environmentally sensitive uses placed in their communities. Environmentally sensitive means power plants, trash dumps, mining activities, and things of that nature. So really in the 1960s and 70s, there's really, and as an outgrowth of the civil rights movement, there's a strong grassroots efforts to work on what they call environmental justice within the United States, using the laws and different public policy influencing strategies to bring equality to what they call environmental impacts. Because what happens to communities when they have negative environmental uses in their communities, people get sick by breathing the air. Sometimes the water gets contaminated through especially mining and when companies use different chemicals and things of that nature. And it takes a long time to be able to prove where the sickness has come from. So there's a long history of legal cases and environmental activism to bring to light a lot of the injustice that has been done in the country, especially when we talk about race and class in the United States. Okay, so let's see another question. I'll answer it. Insan, Camille's question. We in Indonesia have a very different perception about housing. We think the house is a private property that we must have. So the concept of shared houses, such as apartments or flats, is not very popular. So many people choose to live in houses that may not have proper environment, polluted water, poor sanitation, but they still own the property. Just curious how the US started to change the development of sustainable settlements with the concept of shared housing. Well, I would say in most of the United States, people live in single houses. They call them suburbs outside of the big cities. And the suburbs, most Americans live in the suburbs, like over 60%, 65%, where there's a single house. One of the things for the United States is we also know that that is the most unsustainable way for housing patterns, but is the most popular way because people like their individualism. It costs a lot more to provide electricity to a single house, to cool that house, to provide heating to that house. To live in that house, you must have a car to drive on the highway. Public transportation is much more expensive. Single houses generate a lot more waste. So it's not that. It's one of the least sustainable development patterns that you can have. And yes, in the United States, that's how we've developed since the end of the World War II. And we've exported that model to many places around the world, but it is one of the least sustainable. Now, when it comes to urban development in large high-rise buildings and houses, that's really something that started pre-World War II in the United States because housing has always been a scarce commodity, especially in cities like New York, where housing has always been a challenge. This city has always brought new immigrants in from different countries or from different parts of this country. And the only way to accommodate large human populations was to build high-rise buildings. And how should I say, when well-maintained, they work. But when they're not maintained, there could be a lot of deterioration. And so it becomes about a maintenance and a resource issue, but it is a more efficient, sustainable way of building cities. And so when you look at different, there are some architects who are looking to build the most sustainable cities in the world. And sometimes they say they're going to build islands, floating islands and things of that nature. They build high-rise buildings because all the services that you need can be contained within those buildings. Okay, so let's see the next question.
Irna, there's another question from Irna.
Yes, okay. For Indonesia, another important component is culture. Do you have any suggestion how to change the values of citizens toward new habits for sustainable future? Well, I would say this is an important issue in Indonesia, but it's an important global issue. But let me step back a little bit. I remember from my travels in Indonesia, the capital of Jakarta, there's a lot of traffic. It takes a long time to get from one part of the city to the next. In Bandung, there's a lot of traffic. It takes a lot of time to get from one part of the city to another. If somehow there were faster, more efficient ways, such as trains, and I know Jakarta has a train, but more expansive trains, people would have an incentive to use them. A cheap, efficient public transportation system is the key to moving people around. People want clean air, clean parks, nice places to live. People want to drink clean water. These are things that the human being naturally likes. So I would say linking linking clean air, clean water to the concept of sustainability is very important. I also recall, I think being in Bali, and I was in a beautiful forest, but I also noticed there were these huge trucks that were driving up and down the roads. And then I saw a lot of logging of extremely beautiful forest. I am sure that the people who lived in those forests and in those areas, it breaks their heart to see a lot of this going on. But at the same time, when you talk about public policy, you're talking about power, laws, things of that nature. So it really is about informing linking what people cherish to the concept of sustainability so that they can see. Yes. Okay, so public facilities are available, but what is lacking is socialization program for the use of these facilities. Yeah, when it's pointed out that there is a lack of something like socialization or knowledge of information, you students are the new generation. You are the generation who sees things, hears things, and you're equipped with the knowledge from the university, the public university, to be able to make the society a better society. It is not easy. It takes time, it takes patience, but also takes knowledge and wisdom. I think you've identified an issue or a challenge, and I hope through my discussion, you can draw some parallels to some of the things I talked about in the United States, to some of the issues related to sustainability that you're having, that you deal with in Indonesia. And then I hope it sparks ideas and creativity to then work on solving these problems, because these are global challenges. But these challenges, they start in every community.
Thank you, Malcolm. I think there is another question from Rudy.
Okay.
In the chat room, please. Thank you.
Okay. Cultural sustainability. Well, how should I say? Culture is, it can mean a lot of things. I would say, and I would argue that building a culture of sustainability is important, because then you're starting to teach people and build a common language that can be used to develop practices that support sustainability. On your college campus, are you recycling? Does everyone place their soda bottles and water bottles in a plastics container and throw your trash in another? Or what they would call biodegradable foods in another container? Does the city have a recycling program? Where's the electricity produced? Is it a coal-fired power? Is there any public transportation? Does the city have plans for public transportation? What about reducing traffic? You see, all of these are little issues and little steps, but they can make a big difference in your community and to the people that are around you. So when I speak of culture, I'm talking about disseminating knowledge about what is sustainability, what steps can we take, how can everyone participate? But also by doing that, you build a shared understanding of sustainability. And through doing that, then you can also, okay, everyone, don't forget to please fill out this form here. You can also work with, you can also build a culture within your society, within your community of sustainability. And it doesn't happen overnight, it takes time. It's very challenging. And what works in one area, in one city, may not be the same in another. So for example, this list that I have in front of you, in terms of increasing walking, building more sidewalks, and making pedestrian paths throughout the city. Now, this up to the image in the upper left-hand corner, that's Times Square. There was always multiple lanes of traffic to go through there. All right, so that part of the city belonged to the automobile. It was a radical idea to say, we're going to cut off traffic here and we're going to allow people to walk. It was a radical idea, but it has to start somewhere with some sort of a plan. The subways and trains, if there's no subways and trains that are more expensive, are there more buses? Where would you think about, how could you start from scratch? If there's very few buses, I'm going to send this a PowerPoint to Ida. I would like for you to look at the video that I have about Bogota. What they did was find the most busy street. They cut out some of the lanes, and they said, we're going to have buses going up and down, up and down, up and down to move people all day and all night. And it worked. But the vision has to be there. But see, the thing is, you as students, you can learn from other places, other countries, other cities about what steps were taken to address the sustainability issues in their country or in their city. And by doing that, you can take these ideas to your city, because at some point it aligns with government objectives to save money, to serve the people, to build public infrastructure that moves the society forward.
Okay, thank you, Malcolm. I think we missed one question from Rudy Alfian. He's asking about the component of the city sustainability. I think it is before Novi question.
Okay, I'm sorry. One second.
Okay.
This one? What?
It's from Rudy.
Okay, Rudy. Okay. Okay, you want to ask about the components that make a city sustainable. Okay, that's a very good A very good question. The components that make a city sustainable. Well, what is a city? A city is a place where people live. There are businesses. In order for people to live there in businesses, there has to be a way for people to get around. So there has to be transportation, roads. If there's a lot of people, you need trains, buses. There needs to be a way for food to come inside the city and be distributed. There needs to be, people need water. There needs to be clean air. If there's electricity, electrification takes place, but you need clean air. So there are a lot of components to a sustainable city, but I would say that when you talk about a city being sustainable, I would say a city if the city plans to be sustainable, they need to look at every component of the city and find ways to make the city more sustainable. So what I would say is look at transportation. The main emitters of CO2 gases, greenhouse gases, and pollution in the cities are automobiles, the generation of electricity by power plants, which are typically not in the cities, but outside the cities, but they're close enough to bring the fumes over the city. So with those two things right there, it's finding a way to reduce the amount of traffic in the city and generate and use less electricity. And the ways to use less electricity are: one, build environmentally sustainable buildings, green the paved surface by having trees, planting trees, allowing people to have gardens on the rooftops, things of that nature. But then the next question here is all this done only by government? No, there's no way that government can do everything. Government, the root of the word government comes from ancient Greece. It means to steer. And that is to steer, like to steer a ship or a boat, to navigate. So government has the power to set an agenda, but only effective government has to bring in all players, private sector, civil service, and citizens have to play their part. But the only way to do that is to allow people to first participate in the planning of the plan that's being developed to build a more sustainable community, but also making it clear how everyone can participate. But at the same time, government has to be in the position of has to have competent administrators like yourselves who know how to research, who know how to understand this issue, and can research what other cities have done around the globe to see what best practices are, and then can share plans and ideas with the broader community, with the government, with the civil sectors, and then put together a plan that works for your city, that works for your citizens. And that's really how you would start.
Okay, thank you, Malcolm. Do you have any other question for the students? Hello, dear participant, you can ask some question if you want to, and you can ask the question in Indonesian language if you like. Boleh nanya dalam bahasa Indonesia kalau mau, bisa nanya langsung juga. Yeah, people, you can ask the question directly. Just raise your hand. Okay, I think that that's probably no more questions. Kang Buho, because I think it is very loud here. Could you please to help me to close the session? Sorry, Malcolm, because I'm in a very big meeting room, so it's so noisy around here.
No, it's quite all right. It's all
Okay,
right.
yeah. So, thank you very much. I think this is very interesting. Lectures on planning for sustainability. Clearly, you recognize some challenge of development in different part of the world. Uh, the problem of sustainability is not only happening in developing countries, but also in many big cities like in New York City also have some problems. So the question is how we can encourage the government to take a very good decision and provide some appropriate program for the community so we can support our community to live more sustainable. Oh, hang on, there's another question from Ph.D. Would you like to take this question, Malcolm? This is in Indonesian language, but more or less, it is talking about the cultural and traditional. That actually, Eddie actually the student from uh, anthropology department, and he said that culture and tradition is actually very strong, and most of the time indigenous people practicing more sustainable way of living compared to the modern people, but how actually the government could support to maintain this and to encourage the positive sustainable economic growth and positive sustainable change due to the globalization. So I mean that this is about the challenge to sustainable development for indigenous people. Probably you can have some thoughts. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. This is a very good question. That's a very good question, and it's a real a challenge on a couple of levels, because on one hand, indigenous populations, wherever they are on the planet, have coexisted with the land for centuries. It's only in the modern era, during the modern economy, and especially in this modern globalized world, where consumerism has rapidly expanded, and the production of products that do not necessarily break down naturally in our environment I should say, is being developed at a rate that outstrips the Earth's ability to break down these components. Plastics, waste from batteries, plastic bags, so forth and so on. And that's only really the tip of the iceberg. I think there's a lot to learn from indigenous populations, how they've coexisted with the land for centuries. But I think there's a deeper issue here. The deeper issue is about legitimacy of knowledge. You see, the thing of the power, whether you're in Indonesia or you're in the United States or you're in Europe or wherever you are, people in power seem to believe that they know everything. If they have more money, more resources, more tools, the concept is to, the initial thought is to think that we are superior. And you find this many places around the world. And that kind of inclination is what needs to be overcome. That is the bigger issue, because there's a lot to learn from indigenous peoples all throughout the Americas. For example, in the southwestern United States, it's mostly desert. The states of Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, these are vast deserts. It's very dry land. But you've had Native American populations living there for hundreds and hundreds of years, and they know where the water is. They've built sophisticated drainage, canals, irrigation, and things of that nature. And there's a lot to learn from that in terms of sustainability. And only now are policymakers and really driven by students learning what the Native Americans have done to preserve water, to then try to replicate that in the design of infrastructure projects. In the region, especially in the states of Arizona. But this is just one example. I can think of places in Southern Africa where people have coexisted with the land in terms of farming practices that modern farming can learn from. So this is something that is really needed. I think as a student of anthropology, I think going out, documenting indigenous practices, writing articles, putting it into the mainstream literature, academic literature, speaking about this. I think that's how you take indigenous knowledge that is powerful, but also putting it in a format that I don't want to say legitimizes, but legitimizes the knowledge for policymakers by putting it through the research process, showing people how it can solve actual, how some practices can solve actual challenges of today. And it's not an easy task. But as a student of anthropology, it's something that's fascinating and that can give you an opportunity to really make an impact in your society and in the world.
Okay, thank you, Malcolm. Allow me to have a quick translation of this. Very interesting your statement about legitimacy of power and knowledge. Pak Edi, jadi tadi sebetulnya Malcolm setuju ya bahwa masyarakat adat, masyarakat indigenous people, masyarakat lokal itu memang memiliki pengetahuan, memiliki knowledge yang sebetulnya terkadang jauh lebih baik ya, lebih sustain karena mereka memang sangat dekat dengan alam. Hal tersebut juga terjadi di Amerika, di Nevada, di New Mexico misalnya, di Arizona sama ya. Nah, oleh karena itu penting yang harus dilakukan, itu memang tidak mudah, tetapi yang perlu dilakukan adalah bagaimana kita akademisi, sebentar saya tutup dulu. Kita akademisi mahasiswa antropologi misalnya juga mendorong terjadinya proses legitimasi ini supaya para pengambil keputusan juga lebih aware ya dengan isu-isu betapa pentingnya pengetahuan-pengetahuan lokal ini menjadi basis pengambilan keputusan. Jadi tadi ya PR-nya adalah how to legitimate the knowledge, karena bagaimanapun juga pengambil keputusan itu terletak di pihak-pihak yang memiliki kewenangan. Itu ya Pak Edi. Terima kasih. Okay,
ya,
any other question?
Terima kasih. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, Malcolm, most of the time, Eddie understand you, however, but it's a bit difficult for him to express in English, but he understood very well.
Okay, great.
Any other question? Pertanyaan lain dari mahasiswa lain? Oke, kalau tidak ada, terima kasih. Well, Malcolm, thank you very much for your lecture today. I think we have discussed so many important issues on sustainable development and how actually we have to build our awareness and to encourage our government to be to understand more about these issues and start to do the right thing for development. Thank you again, and hopefully we can have some more time to discuss. And I think I invite you to be in my class next semester, as we discussed earlier. Thank you. Probably you can have some short statement for your final conclusion about your class. Thank you.
Okay, I thank everyone for participation today. This has been an honor and a privilege to speak with you today. I hope that I've stimulated some thought, some ideas about how to take these broad concepts of sustainability and apply them to the Indonesian context or the global context. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, Dr. Ida. She has my email. But also, I would love for you to, if you have ideas, would like to research or explore this topic anymore, please let me know. But also, it's just an honor and privilege to speak with you today. Thank you. So what I'll do is, okay, I'll stop share and then.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I lost the. Well, I think that thank you very much. That's what we have today. And Pak Buho, could you please to share the appreciation for Malcolm?
Kang Ricky, share to certificate to Mr. Malcolm. Ricky?
I think we have Pak Heru here. Pak Heru, would you like to say hello and give the appreciation to Malcolm?
Punten, Pak, sudah tampak belum?
Sudah, tapi tertutup. Ya, udah, sudah. Bu Ida, present the ceremonial gift kindly. Would you like to present to ceremony gift?
Okay, sorry, Malcolm, thank you very much again. This is actually, we'll email this to you, but this is actually the way we thanks our lectures, guest lectures. Thank you very much to spend your time. I know this is your weekend, but this is the appreciation for our Dean. Thank you very much for being with us and share your thoughts about planning for a sustainable future. I hope this will ignite the creativity of our students and keep in mind that actually it is important for us to take care of our environment. Thank you. Terima kasih,
Oh, thank
Pak Buho,
you.
bisa ditutup. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ida. It's an
Yeah.
honor and a privilege. Thank you. I thank everyone that's joined. It's a wonderful experience, and thank you.
And Kang Buho, probably before we close, we can share the information about next webinar.
And now we will hold to photo session.
Oh,
Bu
yeah.
Ida.
Okay, we can have the photo session. Sorry, Marco, we have to hold you for a while.
Kang Ricky.
Probably everyone, you can open your camera.
Camera.
Okay, I can see some of the alumni also here. Thank you very much. Okay, who will do? Who will capture the? Okay. Okay, I think we are ready for screenshot. The first, Kang Boho, would you please to do that for us?
Kak Ricky, itunya yang CC dengan
Okay, I think we are ready now. Okay, could you please to hold first page. Okay, I think everyone has to be smile because I don't know which one in which page. Okay, second. All right, and the third one. Okay, it says unfortunate some of the students already left, but it is very good. We have more than 80 students coming today. And Pak Buho, could you please to share the last flyer before we end this webinar? Kang Buho, could you please to share the last flyer for next week?
Punten Pak, sudah muncul? Suaranya masih ketutup Pak, masih di mute.
sudah.
Okay, all the participants, thank you very much for still being with us. And next week, we will host my other colleague, Professor Henry Krokam, he's also the Dean from the Faculty of Economic and Management Science of the Medical Science at the University of the Free State from South Africa. So from USA, we now going to South Africa. So see you next week. Hopefully you can join us. We will have the lectures in the afternoon, Monday on the 6th of December from 2 to 3:30 p.m. Jadi sampai bertemu minggu depan kita punya tamu Profesor Henry Krokam. Beliau akan bicara tentang innovation as a mechanism to restore citizen engagement and trust in government. Ya, jadi ini masih series webinar internasional yang diselenggarakan oleh Pusat Studi Desentralisasi dan Pembangunan Partisipatif, program studi S1, S2, dan S3 Administrasi Publik. Tetapi karena mata kuliahnya topik kuliahnya itu tentang isu pembangunan, jadi semuanya dipersilakan untuk bergabung. Terima kasih. Thank you very much and see you next week. Malcolm, once again, thank you very much. And your student also welcome if they want to join us, but I don't think the time is okay for you because it will be 2 to 3:30 p.m. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I'll send you the recording after this. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Terima kasih semuanya ya. Sampai bertemu.